popular design styles we're seeing is what we have been calling a freeform. And it's kind of a combination of freeform and English garden style, because we have these beautiful curvilinear line movements, and it kind of moves through this horizontal appeal. And it's got a lot of lush and beautiful products that we see in that. And creating that design, there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind, of course, with following principles and elements. But I wanted to kind of do this a little bit differently. I'm going to add some blooming herbs to this, and I also wanted to use some vegetables. So this is kind of an interesting take on this, but I wanted just to kind of walk through that and just kind of give you an idea. I'm going to start first of all with an accent decor fat conical vase, and I like this vase because it's very heavy and it's going to give me that substantial weight. And then I'm going to add to this is a Syndicate Sales pillow. This is the 6-inch pillow, and then I'm also going to use, I'm going to strap this on with clear strapping tape from Smithers Oasis, and I wanted to be able just to keep that on there for my stability. And the trick with this tape is it has to adhere to itself. We're going to place it in 2 different spots. So I'm going to crisscross over the top and come down just a little ways. Then I'm going to take it and wrap the vase. And I'm going to pull it as I wrap it. And that's what makes it stick. So it's going to hold everything in place as we go around. And it adheres right to that vase. So now we've got that stability in there, and that's what we want. So let me set this aside. I've started this already so you can see the mechanic. I want to just show you this. But what I've added now are some foliages, and these are in groupings, and also some vegetables. There's some asparagus here, but I want to talk a little bit about rosemary. So I've got rosemary started down at my base, and rosemary is an incredible texture, and it's also a very long-lasting woody stemmed foliage, and I like that just because it's really fun. You know, it's got, if you go back into all the herbs and all of their meanings, you know, rosemary is for remembrance, and that's always really kind of fun to apply to different things that we do in floral design. But we've also got some other materials. I've got pittosporum, I've got a little bit of silver eucalyptus, and what I've done is I've placed some here, and then I place it on the opposite side. And when you do that, you get 4 balances just by doing that. I have physical balance and visual balance, plus I have textural balance and I have color balance by just placing rosemary on this side and placing it on this side. It becomes a no-brainer, and it gives me such tremendous depth. And then I don't have to think about it. It's like, oh, I put it here, I gotta put it here. I put it here, I gotta put it here. It makes it easy. And doing it in groupings so that it makes that visual appeal more substantial. I've also taken some asparagus, and this is just the red asparagus, and with an 18-gauge wire, I have just put that in the base because I wanted to be able to reach the bottom of the container with some stability. So that 18-gauge wire does that for me, and just by placing that in there then, gives me that substantial width. So then that color, so now we have interesting color that we're adding to this. So along with this, I wanted to also add some red kale. And again, that's about texture. So I'm going to put a piece on each side, and I probably will add another one. So I've got that beautiful red kale here and here on each side. And then I've got an artichoke, and I've added some skewers to this artichoke, and I'm going to put him in the center. He's going to be my focal area. The problem that we have with this particular design, what we've been seeing, is that there's not a lot of consistency with the principles and elements of design. And that's really, really important when you're creating a design. And that takes you from a professional to, from an amateur level to a professional level. And I like that, being able to follow those rules and guidelines, because that's what makes us better. So our focal area is created with this artichoke. And the focal is created in 2 different ways. It's either color or its size. So this has some size to it. It's also got some weight, so it's got to go into that center and stay put. So then everything else can come out around that. So let's add a little bit more of this kale. I put that on one side. And then we're going to add it to that other side. So then I've got my kale grouping. So there's textures. And you want to really pay attention to textural balance with this too, because I've got fluffies, and I've got a little different fluffy, but I've got a sleek surface, and a sleek surface, and a sleek surface. So that makes a difference. Having those side by side, it is a visual appeal because you're able then to look at it and you don't even have to touch it to know what the texture is. And that makes it exciting to look at and to watch. So we're going to go now with some blooming oregano. And I want to add this in. Let's see, how do we go here? And we'll start our horizontal line movement with the blooming oregano. And this is fabulous. And what I found with blooming oregano is that it holds up really well in floral designs. And it just gives us that beautiful linear movement. It has a tiny little lavender flower on the end. And if you grow it in your garden, it's kind of invasive, but it's really kind of fun. So you get that textures, again, with, look how pretty that is, with your blooming oregano. So we're just adding that in and just moving our line back and forth. And we're going to come back and add to that and reinforce that line movement, because that's pretty much the line movement that we have is horizontal. So let's see, let's come up a little bit with you and add you in. And what really inspires, you know, sometimes you just see something that's like, ooh, I just have to design with that. To me, that's what's exciting about floral design and every day that we do. It's just, it just makes it so much fun. All right, I've got some honey bracelet that I want to add in here. And it's just going to give me and enhance this line movement that we've created with the oregano. And it's just going to give me some textures in here too. I also have some myrtle, and I just want to kind of come up with, and I've got some spiral eucalyptus. We go from the flat surface quality of that silver dollar to then this rough surface quality that we're seeing with the spiral. So then the surface qualities really have an effect upon you. It's what makes our eye interested in the design. I also have some mint. Now mint is one that is not quite as good holding up in arrangements as probably some of these others, for sure. But it also, the fragrance, this element of fragrance is amazing in the design. And even if it's just temporary, I just find it so interesting that it just appeals to all of our senses when we're looking at this, and that's what's fun. So we've got this foliage kind of influx with all of these greens and all of these wonderful textures. And again, I have to add, if I add one, I have to add another one. So we're going to go opposite that. A little bit of myrtle. And add just a little bit more honey bracelet to this back side. So then I'm going to come back with a little bit of substance. And I've got some fingerling potatoes that I'm going to help just kind of weigh this down. And all I did is put them on another wood skewer, and they're just the little really fun, little interesting potatoes, and I just stacked a couple of them together. And what this does is it's going to give me strength and stability towards my focal area. And if you can see how that takes your eye right to our artichoke that's in that very center, it's really kind of fun. So I've got one more piece here. I want to add just another little piece of myrtle into that, so you can see our movement and our line and how interesting and fun. I think I want to add one more oregano up so I can get that line movement. So the emphasis is horizontal, but we have this free form look, and what's really fun is that you bring your eye in down to the center. You see this substantial artichoke that's right into that very base. And then the interest that we see with the asparagus and the potatoes and then all of these different blooming herbs, it really makes an interesting free-form design.